Hey everyone, so I have a lot of stuff that I uncovered in the past day or two that I thought warranted an emergency episode of the show because I want to share it with you all because it's very pertinent to the conversation that we are having across our country right now regarding Florida and their anti-groomer bill, which the left is calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. Before we get into all this stuff, I also want to extend a huge welcome to everybody who has migrated over here to the Liz Wheeler Show community on Locals from Big Tech. Maybe you saw the link that I posted today with this episode and clicked on it because you wondered what exactly is behind the money that is behind the Don't Say Gay narrative. So welcome to an uncensored platform. That's what we do here on Locals. It's uncancelable. It's a platform dedicated to free speech, and at least 3 times a week we do episodes just like this where we talk about topics that Big Tech tells us are unmentionable topics, but stuff that we need to hear about, we need to know, other people need to be aware of in our political dialogue. So welcome if this is the first time that you've joined us, and welcome back to all the tried and trues who are here every single day following along. So what's happening in Florida right now? We've all been following along with this. There's this parental rights and education bill that was just signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis. It prohibits teachers from facilitating classroom discussions about sexual orientation and gender identity for kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and third graders. It prohibits school administrators and teachers from hiding from parents if their minor children are transitioning genders in the classroom. That's it. That's all it does. Now, the left has named this bill the Don't Say Gay bill, and the narrative goes, and this is what Hollywood celebrities at the Oscars were echoing, they were parroting. The narrative goes that this illegalizes or prohibits people, meaning students or teachers or anybody, from saying the word gay in the state of Florida, let alone in public schools. Now, this is obviously false. You can read the text of the legislation itself. It's not a long bill. It's 3 pages max. And it says that nowhere. And the left, by the way, now, I don't know about the celebrities at the Oscars. Maybe Amy Schumer herself is too dumb to know the truth. But the politicos, the people on CNN and MSNBC and the blue check marks on Twitter, they actually are not dumb. They are strategic. They know that this bill does not ban mention of the word gay. Even David Hogg. Do you remember David Hogg? He was the Parkland kid who became a radical leftist activist. He was in charge of the March for Our Lives, which was an anti-gun, pro-gun control, gun-grabbing organization. Even he's a blue checkmark liberal on Twitter now. He even admits that this bill does not prohibit the word gay. He made a Twitter thread about it, and he goes, "Hey, Republicans, before you don't read this thread and just reply with talking points, consider reading it." He goes, "Yes, I read the bill. It says," and I quote, "Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate." So, as I said, even these leftists are aware of the fact that the phrase "don't say gay" and the narrative that says that this bill prohibits, or this law, it's a law now, that this law prohibits the word gay in classrooms, it's just a complete lie. It's BS. So here's the interesting thing though. This phrase "don't say gay" is actually a brilliant marketing tactic because it does lend itself to these kind of tweets or this kind of hyperbole where people, even Christians, even people against gay marriage, even people that don't want their children taught about sexual orientation or gender identity think, "Oh, wow, that's harsh. If you're not even allowed to say the word gay, that doesn't seem right. Something seems wrong about that." So it's a brilliant marketing tactic used by the left to try to trick Americans, both Democrats and Republicans, voters, into opposing this bill because that's what the left wants people to do. They want people to oppose this bill. So this wasn't a coincidence. This is what I found, that this phrase "don't say gay" was not coined by CNN. It was not something that someone happened to say to someone else and it organically caught fire on Twitter and soon the rest of us were saying it as well. No. This was a deliberate effort from an organization who really, really needs this bill not to become law in order to protect their own profit. And the organization that I'm talking about is none other than Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood actually used this phrase, "don't say gay," in regards to another similar bill, a bill that was similar to the Florida bill, this bill in Missouri 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Planned Parenthood wrote a blog post on their website in which they described Missouri's bills. It was HB 1565 and Senate Bill 786 as "don't say gay." This is what they wrote. "During the 2020 legislative session, Missouri introduced a, quote, "don't say gay" bill that takes this a step further. It requires schools to notify the parents before a teacher can mention someone's gender and or sexual identity, and to notify them before they can talk about different genders, identities, and sexual orientation." And so, as I said, this was This particular post was March 26th, 2020 at 8:02 p.m. It's called Sex Ed and the Don't Say Gay Bill. And as far as I can tell, this is one of the first mentions of this phrase, don't say gay. And the first mention of this launched this phrase into at least mainstream among liberals. And this was intentional on the part of Planned Parenthood. Why? Because Planned Parenthood, according to their own website, I'm going to show this on the screen, according to Planned Parenthood's own website, quote, "We are the nation's largest provider of sex education. Sex education that's evidence-based, they say, and delivered by trained professionals is extremely effective and widely supported." And if you go to their page, Planned Parenthood's page called How Planned Parenthood Teaches Sex Education, you will see under the section How Planned Parenthood Teaches Sex Education, you will see them say, Planned Parenthood is the single largest provider of sex education in the United States, reaching 1.2 million people with education and outreach each year. Planned Parenthood sex educators teach across the lifespan, including students in elementary, middle, and high school, as well as young adults, parents, and older adults. They cover topics like communication skills, decision-making, birth control, how to prevent STIs, healthy relationships, consent, body image, anatomy, and puberty. They go down and say the sex education programs provided by Planned Parenthood include proven to work unintended pregnancy and STI prevention programs, comprehensive sex education programs for young people. Gotta love that vague euphemistic word, comprehensive. What do you mean by comprehensive? Are you including abortion in there? Oh, yes, they are. Peer education programs for youth and adults, programs for LGBTQ+ youth, parent and family programs, training for professionals. Planned Parenthood, they say, also reaches young people online to ensure that they can access sex education and information, even if they aren't getting that in school. So what does this tell us? Planned Parenthood is the largest provider of sex education in our country, and they admit they do this in elementary school, in middle school, and in high school. So part of this, of course, has to do with their abortion business. They want to train young people to engage in promiscuous sex. They want essentially to feed their abortion pipeline, because if they encourage promiscuous sex, if they encourage people to use birth control, which is not foolproof, and that results in teenage pregnancies, they want to then profit from the abortion that they have forced, or they have told young women that they must get in order to be successful if they are impregnated in middle school or high school or college or as young professional women. So part of this is their abortion business. But the other part of this, the newer part of this, the very insidious part of this is that Planned Parenthood has become, in the last couple of years, one of the largest distributors of transgender hormone therapy for young people. That's right. You can go on any of the Planned Parenthood websites, any of them, and you will find pages called Gender Affirming Hormone Therapy with Informed Consent. The page that I'm reading from specifically is from Planned Parenthood League of Massachusetts. But again, you can go to any of the regional websites, which is usually a conglomeration of individual clinics, and you'll find pages that say exactly the same thing. First, they provide a phone number. The first thing that they want you to do is call them. They say, now providing surgical support letters for gender affirmation surgery. So not only do they provide hormones, but they're feeding people into the surgical pipeline, right? So then they say, about our care, how do I make an appointment? To schedule an appointment, you can contact us by phone or through our online patient portal. We currently offer these appointments virtually through telehealth as well as in person at one of our health centers. So think about this. A young woman, take a young woman, an 18-year-old woman, calls Planned Parenthood and says, I am transgender. I am a man caught in a woman's body. And Planned Parenthood doesn't see this person in person, doesn't see this young woman in person, and prescribes her testosterone hormones, which she then injects herself. It goes on to say, what can I expect from my first appointment? They say, at this appointment, we will discuss your goals for treatment. Go through the informed consent forms. By the way, don't you wonder if in those informed consents, they talk about the level of regret and transitions, that this could render you infertile, sterile for life, that this doesn't actually cure gender dysphoria, that the suicide rates don't change in the long run, even if you undergo this transition? Don't you wonder if the informed consent actually includes all of the truth, the reality of this pipeline that Planned Parenthood is promoting? They said, we'll review your medical history and answer any questions you have about medication options. Depending on your medical history, we will either prescribe the hormones to you at your first visit, prescribe these hormones at your first visit, or ask you to get some lab work done at a local diagnostic center. Once we receive lab results, usually within a week of your lab work appointment, we will review them and then prescribe hormones for you to pick up at your nearest pharmacy. So either on the day that you have this telehealth appointment with Planned Parenthood or 1 week later, depending on if you need blood work, they promise you hormone therapy. They don't say, we will see if this is the best for you. They promise you hormones. Now, as I said, almost any of these pages for any of these local groups of Planned Parenthood clinics promise that you don't need a therapist's note. You don't have to undergo counseling. You don't need an official diagnosis of gender dysphoria. You just have to call Planned Parenthood, walk into Planned Parenthood, and tell them that you are transgender, and they will provide you with, estrogen or testosterone, this hormone therapy that irrevocably harms your body. So this makes a lot more sense now when we think about the fact that Planned Parenthood coined this phrase or made this phrase, the "don't say gay" phrase, mainstream. They dubbed these bills, these bills that protect parents' rights in schools, that protect children from being exposed to radical gender ideology, which, by the way, is officially known as queer theory. That grooms children into being more likely to say, "Oh, I suffer from gender dysphoria. I'm transgender. I therefore need these hormones." And oh, look at that. Planned Parenthood not only profits from teaching children this radical gender theory in school under the guise of being sex education. They profit in that way. And then if it leads to promiscuous sex and the young woman needs an abortion, they profit there. But if it leads to children developing a mental illness and saying, "Oh, I'm transgender and I want hormones," Planned Parenthood profits from that too. This is a fundamental existential threat to a big part of Planned Parenthood's business, a growing part of Planned Parenthood's business. And so now you see this phrase, "don't say gay," in a whole new light. You see this phrase as an agenda. You see this phrase as blood money. You see this phrase as part of the grooming process. Planned Parenthood actively wants to and is striving to groom young people to become dollar signs for them. Notwithstanding the fact that abortion obviously kills an unborn child and harms a woman and harms a man in his fatherhood, but transgender transitions are irrevocable. They're devastating, body, mind, and spirit to the young people. And anyway, in the past couple of days, we've seen this story about Florida. We've seen this development. I mean, we saw that Disney was pushing back against Governor Ron DeSantis. We see blue check marks online going crazy. We see celebrities deliberately, in my opinion, misrepresenting what the "don't say gay" bill is. We see the majority of people in Florida, both Republicans and Democrats, support the bill. When even Democrat voters, even leftist parents are asked, "Do you support a prohibition on gender identity indoctrination for your kindergartner, first, second, and third grader?" Parents say, yes, we support that. And parents think they have a right to know, as they do, if their child is transitioning. So we see this dichotomy. We see these radical leftist politicians who are at the beck and call of these organizations like Planned Parenthood. We see them on one side of this fight, and then we see parents and DeSantis and Republicans on the other side. And it's fascinating, I think, to uncover money trails such as this, because you really see the truth behind this agenda, the truth behind the "don't say gay" phrase, this narrative, which of course is a lie and profit for Planned Parenthood. Now, as I said, we do 3 of these episodes at least a week. There's tons of content just like this here on the Liz Wheeler Show community on Locals. If you want to be a part of this community, we would love to have you. If you want to see more on a regular basis, become a VIP. I have a promo code for you. It's ACCESS, ACCESS, ACCESS. You want more access to this kind of content? Obviously, you can do it right here, or you can go to lizwheelershow.com/locals. And with my promo code, you will get 1 month free on your annual subscription. That's lizwheelershow.com/locals. Promo code ACCESS. As I said, I thought that this topic warranted an emergency episode because this is a critical part of the narrative that we are seeing unfold. And I want to make sure that we are all empowered with reality, with the truth, to fight back against the evil that we are facing. On that note, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.